in Detroit. 17-9, Green Bay with their 9-1 record on top after a half of play on Thanksgiving. Visa halftime show coming up. Kurt, Terry, Howie, and Jimmy, plus the extravaganza with the Goo Goo Dolls right after this from your local Fox station.
Execution is not fair, and he says we got to pick that up. Meantime, for the Packers, Mike McCarthy told me that he's expecting his team just to be a little more sound. He does not want to see them turn over the ball. Kabir Gbaja-Biamila with the ankle, X-rays were negative, but he's done for the day, Joe.
All right. Charles Woodson, not only for his health as we go through the rest of today, but in case any of the Packers or the Cowboys who play later today on Thanksgiving are looking ahead. The two teams that start the afternoon at 9-1 meet next Thursday in Dallas. Fake handoff, and the pass is complete to Donald Driver. I like this guy so much, Donald Driver. He doesn't get a lot of the credit around the league as one of the league's best, but he's a strong guy. He doesn't go down easily, and he will lay out and stick his hands out in traffic. He is fearless.
You know, and I think that's true of not only Donald Driver, but Sterling Sharp when he was here, and a number of other receivers. You know, Robert Brooks. You know, these guys have got to be tough because Brett's going to try to fit the ball into some tight spots, and they better be willing to go in there and get it and then take the hit after the catch. And all those guys did it, and certainly Donald Driver continues to.
2nd down and 5, and there's one slung to the sideline and into the arms of Corin Robinson. 1st down, Green Bay.
When we came into the game talking about Shaun Rogers and what a force he is in the middle. I mean, he's a big, powerful, strong guy. They continue to hold him up, though. He hasn't been able to get much pressure, you know, into the backfield with Brett Favre. Now, he got movement, which is what you want from him there. But Brett Favre is not a guy who takes a lot of sacks. He gets the ball out quick, and he was able to on that last play.
Rodgers head coach Rod Marinelli was not pleased with his effort last week against the Giants, and so far just 1 tackle today for Shaun Rogers. Pass is behind Driver. He makes the catch and dives for a 9-yard gain.
Yeah, I think you talk about, you know, Rod Marinelli and what he's wanted to do with this group. You know, we came into this game as we see the catch there by Donald Driver, and you know, we came into this game talking about how Rod Marinelli has been telling his team for the last 3 days that, hey, we're not the same old Detroit Lions, even though we've lost our last 2 games. Started out 6-2, now it's 6-4. Well, you know, they get this half to prove to themselves, more importantly, that they're not the same old Detroit Lions, and that, in fact, this year is going to be different for them.
Here's that 5 wide receiver set. And a quick throw to Donald Driver. That's about as easy as it gets. 2nd down and a yard. 5 wide receivers. They spread out the defense. And with the defender playing off Driver, he just stands up and catches it for 1st down.
Yeah, I mean, when you're able to spread people out and you're able to spread this Detroit line, they're a little short manned, and so you're able to then, you know, get some yardage situations to convert those 3rd downs or 2nd downs there.
So a 1st down. Again, 5 wide receivers in the lineup for Green Bay. Where's Favre going to go with it? He throws behind James Jones. He makes the catch. Doesn't go down easily and picks up 8.
You know, James Jones, we talk about these receivers and the way that they have to be able to catch the football. It's a great example of that. And you're going to see James Jones. The ball's behind him, but that's all fingertips right there. And let me tell you something. I mean, I know a couple of weeks ago they were questioning Brett Favre's arm strength and all that. There's nothing wrong with his arm strength. And he kind of prides himself, like a lot of young quarterbacks do, on throwing that thing as hard as he can. And so for a guy like James Jones to be able to pluck that thing out of the air with his fingertips, that's pretty impressive to me.
2nd down and 2. Corin Robinson, defender fell down. Robinson down the sideline and out of bounds inside the 5. Stanley Wilson fell down, and Robinson was left there all alone to make the catch and a 43-yard completion.
Yeah, and it looked like Corin Robinson at the end of this play. Watch it and watch his left arm. It looked like he leaned on him just a little bit there, and then you're right, Joe. Wilson fell down. I thought I saw a little contact, with the elbow to get separation, but it was more Stanley Wilson falling down than it was anything else.
And now caught unprepared is this Lions defense. They have to take a timeout. First and goal, Green Bay, when we come back, trying to add to an 8-point lead. 21 of 27. Quarterback rating well over 100, trying to accomplish that for the 5th straight game. First and goal, Packers. Quick throw, and the pass caught for a touchdown. It's Jennings. His 2nd of the day, his 9th of the season. And Favre and the Packers are rolling again.
Well, it's kind of what you said a little bit earlier, Joe. They spread them out. They forced Detroit, because of where they are on the field, to go man-to-man, one-on-one. And Travis Fisher is on Greg Jennings, and he just runs an out route and gets separation, and a good throw by Brett Favre. I mean, it just doesn't get a lot easier than that to throw touchdown passes in the NFL.
24-9, the Packers are out in front, trying to move to 10-1 on the season. The only game they lost was that collapse at the end to the Chicago Bears at home. Brett Favre is rolling. The young guys around him are loose, having fun. All the Packers are, leading 24-9. And then if these Lions are trying to prove that they're not the same old Lions, which was Rod Marinelli's rallying cry before today's game, somebody's going to have to step up and make a play as Casey Fitzsimmons gets it on the return after the 25. Trying to get the passing game going, Troy, and John Kitten has been under pressure all day.
Well, he has, and it's not a lot unlike what happens each week for him. I mean, he's somewhat used to this, and you would think that the running game that they were able to get going there in the first half would have taken some of this away. But it hasn't. He's still been able to take some hits. He's still, been sacked a couple of times. And I know they've run the ball well, but knowing Mike Martz, I think that he's about ready to start abandoning the running game real soon.
Handoff is to Jones, and Kevin is out to the 30. Picked up 6. Campman, the first one to get his hands on him. And if you look at a couple of players, Roy Williams has been, for the most part, shut down. And Calvin Johnson the rookie did not have a good first half. So those two guys have got to get it going here in the second half.
Yeah, and I know they were really counting on Calvin Johnson having a big game, and they've given him some opportunities because they really feel like there's some matchup advantages that favor Calvin Johnson, but they just haven't been able to connect.
And they should favor him even more as you looked at Charles Woodson, who's on the sideline for Green Bay. Kevin Jones gets 8, a first down. Ryan Pickett on the tackle. But whether it's Roy Williams or Calvin Johnson or Sean McDonald or Mike Furry, who was 2nd in the league in catches last year, you just are waiting around for something to ignite in the passing game.
Well, and I think the fact that, as we saw, Charles Woodson's not even in the game, and so, they're going with their 3rd corner now as their 2nd. Their 4th quarter comes in as their 3rd, and yet the Lions still have not been able to take advantage of that.
Again, they stay on the ground as Mike Martz is trying to prove a point. It's Kevin Jones picking up 2. 2nd down and 8 coming up.
And as soon as I, say that Mike Martz, knowing his personality and how impatient he can get, that he's going to get away from running the football. And, how many times have we seen this, not only while he's been the coordinator here in Detroit, but while he was the head coach and coordinator with the Rams, that he's run the ball more than what he has thrown it. And if they can continue to run the ball and pick up first down, that's going to be fine, because there's still obviously lots of time left in this game.
Play action from Kitna. The pass behind Calvin Johnson. He makes the catch. And this crowd putting their hands together for a 13-yard completion to Calvin Johnson.
Yeah, and as far as what's happened in this game for Detroit, it hasn't been from a lack of them moving the football. They've done a pretty good job of moving the ball already. It's early here in the 3rd quarter. They have over 200 yards of offense. They just haven't done anything with it when they've had the opportunities down in there where you would expect them to come away with touchdowns.
7 of 8 possessions have been inside Green Bay territory. That applies here as Kevin Jones picks up a yard. One thing it does do, though, Troy, I know you know this better than I, if they get it rolling with their passing game, what they've been able to do on the ground sets up the play action and should make the passing game that much easier for Kitna if they can protect them.
Yeah, no question. I mean, if you're able to get the running game going, and that's why I thought, you know, in previous weeks for Green Bay, that's been one of the real advantages for them. You get the running game going, you know, now you make people start honoring that. It should open up some of the intermediate throws.
Kitna backs way up and just throws it right into the turf as Kevin Jones there trying to set up a screen for him. And Green Bay was all over it. Colin Cole was right there in front of him.
And the crowd a little unhappy with the result of that play. And now you're faced again with 3rd and long, and they didn't do real well on this down there in the first half. You know, Joe, you mentioned, you know, okay, they have this half to prove that they're not the same Detroit Lions as Rod Marinelli's been saying for the last 3 days. And you know, you look at their schedule down the stretch. I mean, they've got games against Dallas and at San Diego, Kansas City. They got a tough schedule coming up.
3rd down and 9, 4-man rush. Kitna steps up and hits McDonald for a first down. Good throw, maybe even a better catch by Sean McDonald, who, despite putting up some numbers, was frustrated with a ball off his hands that in essence ended the game last week. Led to an interception by the Giants.
Yeah, but Sean McDonald, I mean, he's a really talented guy. He's the receiver. He's their 3rd receiver. And for him to be able to come in and then run that inside stuff with the quickness that he has, I mean, I've always felt that that's the guy that the quarterback really likes. I mean, it's high percentage throws to a possession receiver with great quickness and speed. And that time they were able to connect.
Handoff is to Duckett, and a nice tackle is made by Michael Montgomery. If Montgomery doesn't trip up T.J. Duckett, that could have been a big one. Instead, it's a loss of 1.
Just a good job defensively by this Green Bay Packer unit. And you know, obviously, and I mean, this has been the case for years and years, even back when Brett was very early in his career and they were going to Super Bowls. They had outstanding defensive teams, but Brett Favre and the offense have always overshadowed that, and they're good again this year.
Kitna kept it and looking for Duckett, who makes an adjustment, catches it for a first down. There's a flag on the play, and it's an ineligible man downfield. This is coming back.
Ineligible downfield, number 66 of the offense. 5-yard penalty, 2nd down.
The right guard, Stephen Peterman, on that long developing play, and he just could not stay at the line.
And that happens sometimes when a quarterback starts scrambling around, and that's the 2nd time now they've been able to make a play, and then someone along the offensive line has brought it back. I mean, Kitna was looking to his front side, hoping to get a big play down the field. But a good job by him keeping it alive and then making a pretty good throw there to T.J. Duckett.
2nd down and 16. That's only the 2nd penalty called against the Lions in this game. Getting in trouble, and he underthrows Mike Furry.
Well, and again, it's Aaron Campman. I mean, this guy is absolutely relentless. He's had a great year. He had a great year last year. Was 2nd in the National Football League in sacks, and you know, this is the way that he plays. It's just every single down. There are times we saw him earlier where he came underneath. That time he continued over the top. But I know that there are defensive linemen in this league that take plays off. And Aaron Campman never takes plays off. You could put a camera on him every single snap, and he's going to be going 100% every time.
4 tackles, 2 sacks for a guy who is not invited to the Combine or the Senior Bowl. And it's just not working now. That play was either going to be a false start or a delay of game. Saipaia.
False start, quarterback. 5-yard penalty, 3rd down.
That makes it 3rd and 21. So every time you think the Lions are creeping back in, getting some traction underneath them offensively, mistakes, pressure, and backward they go.
Yeah, that's what's happened throughout this game. And you know, you're right. You said it best, that they start moving it. They're making progress. It looks good. They got a drive. They're starting to sustain something, and then they have a series of bad things happen.
Kidna's in trouble again. Underneath, Kevin Jones has got a mile to go for a first down and won't get there. Aaron Rouse on the tackle, and ball is at the 34. They are in field goal range for Hanson. Again, pressure by Aaron Campman on that third down play.
Yeah, Campman is the one who flushed him out of the pocket, and then you're going to see Jenkins here, number 77, who winds up putting a pretty good hit on him right there at the very end. You know, and Jon Kitna, and it's true for most quarterbacks. You don't mind getting hit if you're getting throws off and you're making big plays down the field. He's taking a lot of hits today, but he's not making anything happen.
52-yard try for Hanson. Certainly within his range. Gets into it and just absolutely drills it. Career long of 56. That thing had plenty of leg. And the field goal makes it 24-12. It's been all Jason Hanson ending drives. No touchdowns today for Detroit.
Entire stick.
That's all right. Yeah, no, you're gonna. I can't believe you. 81 Broadway in Brooklyn.
Well, I'm glad you guys are taking another one with me.
Hello?
Hey, Sarah. Do you want us to get you something to go?
Hanson's all charged up on a Thanksgiving as Corin Robinson takes the knee. A little frustration for Detroit, no doubt. Kitna's had a long, painful afternoon so far, and his offensive coordinator telling him to hang in there.
It's Ford's year-end celebration, our biggest event, with the best offers of the year on the hottest selling crossover, Edge, and the new restyled Focus, both with Sync powered by Microsoft, a Ford Motor Company exclusive.
Call Sarah.
It's in-car technology that lets you voice activate your Bluetooth-enabled phone, MP3 player, and much more. An F-Series, America's best-selling truck. For the best offers of the year, visit a Ford dealer or go to FordVehicles.com.
The biggest stars in Hollywood are rushing to the biggest event of the year. The perfect marriage of high-definition TV and Blu-ray.
I think the celebration's in order.
Now, experience the greatest movies ever.
Ooh, I like that.
With the best in high-def picture.
Oh, my God, oh, my God, oh, my God.
And the best in high-def sound.
That's going to wake the neighbors.
The future is here when high-definition TV and Blu-ray say, I do Blue.
Do you have what it takes to get a great deal? The latest phones are on sale at Verizon Wireless. They come with America's most reliable wireless network, and they're going fast. So get to a store by November 26th. If you can. The gifts you gotta have are at Verizon Wireless. Versatile Samsung phones like the Multimedia Gleam, the Juke music player, and the stylish U740. Hurry, sale ends Monday. Verizon Wireless.
This telecast is copyrighted by the NFL for the private use of our audience. Any other use of this telecast or of any pictures, descriptions, or accounts of the game without the NFL's consent is prohibited.
Today's game on Fox is sponsored by Verizon Wireless. Gotta have the latest football news, get up-to-the-minute commentary, interviews, and even matchup previews with Fox Sports. All on your VCast phone from Verizon Wireless.
Brett Favre is 1-2 here in Detroit on Thanksgiving. Overall, 7-9 in Detroit. 3-2 here at Ford Field in its 6th year, and 14 of his last 14. Packer record is 18 straight completions held by Lynn Dickey and Don Majkowski. On first down, is it 15 straight? Wow, what a throw to Jennings. If you're going to complete 15 straight, there's got to be somebody on the other end catching them and hanging on. And Greg Jennings is the latest to do that for Favre as he sets a career high.
You know, I laughed when you told me. When I figured that he held that record too. I mean, it's got to be the only record that he doesn't hold, you know, in the Packer record books. But you know, you're right. Not all of them have been short passes. This one certainly was not either. A well-thrown ball, you know, between the two people. And you know, I just think Brett Favre right now is you know, he's always been a confident guy, and you don't want to overstate it. I just think that he's playing with as much confidence as he ever has.
Blitz from Sims and a screen for Grant, who is knocked down by Kalimba Edwards. Why, you don't don't think announcers sometimes go overboard with Brett, do you?
Once in a while.
December 2nd, college football's greatest teams find out who they will play. Just look at him, the way the lights glisten off his helmet. Anyway,
yeah.
Football's greatest games, a live primetime special you can only see on Fox, the All-State BCS Selection Show, Sunday, December 2nd at 8 Eastern, 5 Pacific. Brett played at Southern Miss. Second and 10. And incomplete. They're going to throw a flag. Coverage by Travis Fisher. And Driver wanted the flag, and he got it. That's against
And that will
Fisher.
keep the streak alive.
Defense, number 21. Ball will be placed at the spot of the foul. First down.
Well, we've seen them go after Travis Fisher a few times already in this ball game, and I don't think there's any question that Travis Fisher was holding him, while he was trying to come out of the break. I think it was a pretty good call. Detroit defensively was actually finally able to get a little pressure there on Brett Favre. Corey Redding doing a good job getting to him.
Not just the completions in a row, but how about just the pass plays? The Green Bay Packers have run the ball only 4 times today. The passes continue. Underneath, it's Ryan Grant. And the now starting running back is to the 41, a gain of 7. How about the play selection for Brett Favre? Obviously, they felt they could come in here and wing it around against this secondary of the Lions, and they've been able to do it.
Well, and that's why, I always go back to so many coaches say, hey, you want to stop the run and you got to run the football. Well, right now, if you're the Detroit Lions, you better stop the passing game because that's what's getting you beat.
That's going to be against Detroit. That's Corey Redding. He's trying to make something happen defensively, and he's got his hands on his helmet.
Encroachment, 78 defense, 5-yard penalty, first down.
Let's listen to Brett.
We heard him say over. It was a bootleg is what he was trying to run. It looked like he was going to run it one way, but because of the overload of the defensive front, he said over, and then that gave them the bootleg coming out the backside.
Hey, a run, and it's Grant, and it's a big gainer. Ryan Grant trying to break it. Gets a block, and he's out of bounds near the 5. Good block downfield by Greg Jennings. So they're doing it all at the wide receiver position for the Green Bay Packers.
I think this is just a great example as to why the Green Bay Packers have been so good. And now they're going into a hurry up to get this ball snapped.
And that's tipped and would have been picked off, but there are whistles. How about this? You talk about nothing going right for Detroit.
Prior to the snap, timeout, Detroit. This is their second charge timeout.
They've had to take 2 defensive timeouts, and this one takes away a tip, a pick, and maybe a touchdown. Brett got away with one there. First and goal when we come back.
The most magical place on earth is being closed down.
So first and goal from the 5. And the handoff to Grant. Rodgers in on the stop with Kalimba Edwards. A gain of 2, second and goal.
You look at this Detroit team, Joe. When they came out of second half, Pam Oliver talked about, Rod Marinelli talking to them and what they needed to do and get a little bit more emotion about them. And, we've not seen that. They just, this Green Bay Packer team has just apparently taken the life right out of them.
Second and goal. Pass is complete for the touchdown, Ruvel Martin. Chalk up another for Brett Favre. And it's 30-12 with the extra point coming. "18 straight completions from Brett Favre, which ties the Packer record." And it has been a long Thanksgiving for the secondary for the Detroit Lions. They have been picked apart. And really, Troy, when we talked about it coming on the air, we talked about the pressure that needed to get there from the defensive front for Detroit. They haven't gotten there, and the secondary has been totally exposed.
Yeah, well, I mean, this time you get Tony Beckham on Ruvell Martin, and that's really what Green Bay has done a good job of in this game, is they have spread them out, and they've gotten the matchups that they were hoping to be able to get. They felt that when, you know, they get to their third, fourth wide receiver, that, you know, Detroit just can't match up. And I think that Rod Marinelli would tell you the same thing. I think he would tell you coming into this game that, you know, we can't hold up if they're going to spread us out, and we can't then get pressure on the quarterback, which is exactly what has happened. And then, you know, offensively, I mean, the offense for the Detroit Lions is really what drives this team. And when they're not going, and when they're not moving the football and coming away with points, it makes it hard, especially then when your defensive front, which is the strength of the defense, isn't being as dominant as what they typically can be.
Really nothing on the afternoon for Roy Williams. It was a disappointing first half for Calvin Johnson. Has a catch in this second half, but John Kitna has been banged around yet again. Under 2 to play in this third quarter, and thinking about taking a knee, but taking it out is Kaysen, who has a big one today, and he's out to the 21. And here comes John Kitna in this offensive line, which has tried to protect them. They lost Jonathan Scott early in this game. That hasn't helped. Blaine Saipaia, who's really a backup guard, is now out at right tackle, and Avian Kaysen can't get off the field under his own power at the moment. Earlier today, the Detroit Lions honored one of their own, former tight end and now Hall of Famer, wearing his ring, Charlie Sanders.
You know, I had a chance to be at the Hall of Fame ceremony this year, and Charlie Sanders, I thought, gave a wonderful speech and did a nice job of thanking so many people that were so special and allowed him to go on and have the career that he had. And, you know, of course, his parents played a big role in that as well. And having Mr. Ford as his presenter, I know, meant a lot to Mr. Ford as well as this entire Detroit Lions organization.
There's Mr. Ford. And for Charlie Sanders, a 7-time Pro Bowler. And he is a Hall of Famer. And as you said, getting his ring here today, so he had to wait a while to get that ring.
Yeah, he waited a little longer than what most Hall of Famers have to before they get the ring, but that's such a great moment, and I know it was there for Charlie Sanders to go out and be recognized, really probably for the first time since he quit playing for the Lions, you know, by the hometown fans, and being recognized for what ended up being a Hall of Fame career. I know it was a pretty special moment for him there at halftime.
Well, here's Kitna trying to ignite this offense, and he overthrows Roy Williams. So Roy Williams has had no impact in this game whatsoever, and a guy who started out this season very well, Roy Williams. He's number 4 in the NFL in receiving yards the last 2 years coming in. But after a good first couple of games, the opposing defenses have found a way to shut him down.
Yeah, I think Roy Williams is at a point to where, you know, he's got to make a decision as to how great a player he wants to be. I mean, if he's going to put in the time to be something really special, or if he's not, and then just be a pretty good player.
2nd down and 10. The pass is complete to Troy Walters, who's listed at 5'8". That may be generous. He's brought down immediately after a 6-yard gain. Meanwhile, on the other side, you've got Al Harris working over the rookie Calvin Johnson.
You know what most people don't realize, Al Harris is a pretty physical corner. I mean, he's not He's not a real big guy. He's pretty lean and long arms and lanky, but he's got a lot of strength in his upper body, and he's able to get up and jam much bigger receivers. Calvin Johnson's a much bigger receiver than what Al Harris is defender.
Harris, who played with Bobby Taylor, Troy Vincent in Philadelphia. Guy these Packers rely on, and that throw was to no one in particular. You sense a lot of miscommunication and a lot of guys not running the right routes and a lot of guys not being in spots where John Kitna expects them to be.
I mean, this just isn't what you're accustomed to seeing when you watch a Mike Martz coached offensive football team. I mean, there's a lot of people who would criticize Mike Martz for not running the football, throwing it too much. Certainly that has not been the case here today. But normally within the passing game, if there are balls that are not being completed, generally it's because it's very errant throws from the quarterback. That may have been one of them. But today it just seems like nobody really understands exactly where they're supposed to be.
Harris will punt it. Tremont Williams takes the place of the injured Charles Woodson. This one is off the side of the foot of Nick Harris, and it's only a 39-yard punt. So this offense comes back to the field, and Brett Favre deserves to have a highlight package dedicated to the kind of day he's had today.
Well, I talked about it on the pregame show, and I think, I don't think there's any question that Tom Brady is going to take home the league MVP trophy. I mean, I think that's going to be hands down unless he just collapses here over the last 5-6 ball games. But I think when you look at a guy who's meant the most to his team, Brett Favre, I don't want to say single-handedly, but he's held this thing together with a lot of young players and a lot of shuffled players along the offensive line. And he deserves a lot of the credit for where they're at right now.
Going to put it up again. It's a completion to Ryan Grant. Sims brings him down. You know what's been as impressive? And now penalty flag comes in at the end of the play. Or at least as noticeable as those throws from Brett Favre and the kind of accuracy he's had today and the play at the wide receiver position of the smiles on his face. He's bouncing around like a 22-year-old.
Personal foul, unnecessary roughness, defense, number 79, hitting after the whistle, 15-yard penalty, first down.
Another sign of frustration on the part of the Lions.
And the other part of that, Joe, is those smiles and the way that Brett has played throughout his career is for real. And, the part that I like, you like the smiles, the part that I like the best is that I don't hear anybody asking him if this is his last year. I mean, it's kind of a nice thing that Brett, we had him in our meeting last night. You don't even think about asking him if this is his last year. How could it be the way that he's playing and the team that he now has around him?
19 straight completions. You know what Favre would do if he asked him if he was going to retire at the end of the year, Troy? He'd smile. How can you ask me that question? For 2 years in a row, they said, hang it up. Come on, let Aaron Rodgers take over. It's finished. Let it go, Brett. What a season. What a day here on Thanksgiving. End of 3 in Detroit. And Packer fan Matt Kenseth finished 4th in the 2007 Nextel Cup chase here at Ford Field. Second down for Green Bay, and Ryan Grant takes it to the 45. Let's go down to the field and Pam Oliver.
Joe, at this stage, pride is starting to be an issue for the Lions defensively. Helmets were flying as the defense gave up that last touchdown. Boss Bailey threw his a couple of times. Finally, defensive coordinator Joe Barry had seen enough when he gathered up that group. He spoke of just doing fundamental things at this point. Then he pumped his fist and encouraged the defense to just keep on fighting, adding, "We'll be fine." Back to you.
All right, while we were down checking in with Pam, there was a penalty flag.
There is no foul on the play.
And Scott Green tells us that despite the flag, there is no foul on the play. Well, Brett Favre fumbled the ball on Green Bay's first play from scrimmage, and he hasn't done much wrong since. Trip getting away from the line.
Yeah, and it really, I mean, it hasn't just been the offense for Detroit. The defense hasn't played very well either. I mean, I know there's a lot of frustration, but I don't know that it can be targeted to any one specific group.
Third down and 6. Driver makes the catch, has a first down, and is not content. Down the sideline, Donald Driver out of bounds inside the 10. They'll mark him at the 5. Keith Smith downfield to avoid the touchdown against Detroit as Donald Driver has a 40-yard catch and run.
Yeah, you're going to see Donald Driver. He's going to come across your screen from the left on a crossing route, a real staple in this West Coast offense. And then it's just good blocking down the field. I mean, you got Ryan Grant down there. He's picking up a defender. And then Donald Driver up the sideline. This group and this team just works so well together. It's very obvious they're unselfish and they like playing together.
Favre lobs it. Corin Robinson makes the catch. Incomplete, out of bounds. Looked like a good call initially, and we'll take another look on the replay.
Yeah, he goes up and is able to make the catch, it looked like, and is he able then to stay in bounds, and a good call. I thought it was a great piece that Pam Oliver did on Corin Robinson there on the pregame show, and talking about what he's been through. And he got reinstated a couple of weeks ago and joined the Green Bay Packers, and I hope he's on his way, as he says, and he's gotten another chance.
Here's Grant.